Hello and welcome to another Fleet Ops audio commentary. Today we've got a special guest, Zyke. Say hello.
Hi, I'm Zyke. I work on the models for fleet operations.
Awesome. This is a pretty cool experience for us to have. Maybe you can give us some insight into where some of the ships came from, and
hmm
should be pretty fun. Let's go ahead and introduce the players. So the left team, we've got Acheron as the Purple Feds. Pretty strong player, pretty good at really using those warp-ins. And his ally today is Dragonfire, who's the White Romulans. Dragonfire, a great player, really showing us his stuff. I'm pretty excited to see him in the tournament. They are up against the Blue Klingons, played by Funny Stuff Pictures. Been a little while since I've got to record Funny, so I'm pretty excited. He is rolling with a Tak Rajab Avatar, so should see some pretty cool early game ships. And finally, rounding out the right-hand team, we've got the Green Borg, played by Mr. Nuke, our communist extraordinaire. He is rolling with an optimized avatar. Alrighty, so Zyke, what do you expect to see here? Or what are you curious about seeing?
I'm really interested to see because so we have the new stuff in the 3.2, and Teutoburg is definitely a beast against the Borg. So I'm interested to see that kind of thing going on. But Funny is really great with those Klingons. He really knows, particularly with the. I'm interested because he's going with Tak Rajab this time around, so I'm interested to see. He's building a bunch of Burrells right now, so I'm interested to see what he's going to go do with that. Maybe some harassing.
Yeah, it looks like he is setting up to have a little wing of Burrells to do some harassing, and then a large yard going up. Battle yard should be able to get some heavy hitters for later on in the game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, looks like the Romulan is sporting the Helev avatar. Helev being a little bit easier on you in the early game. Lose the Shrike, but you get access to that Griffin, which really gives you that extra firepower.
Yeah, the Griffins in 3.2 I feel are a very strong unit to be fielding for the Romulans.
Yeah, looks like setting up some Riens. So we've seen some changes with the Romulan models. What kind of inspired some of those changes?
Well, the Romulans are the models from the Romulans are actually left over from Beta 2, and so it's kind of time for them to see a facelift, and so we're trying to move toward the race redos that we've been mentioning on the forums, and so part of that is model upgrades. So particularly since the Romulans are all around the refits, and so if we want to add new refits, which we're slowly doing, we have to upgrade the models.
Well, that makes sense. Definitely looks
So
a lot
maybe we'll see
meaner
a.
too.
Oh yeah, it's definitely interesting. You can definitely see the difference between the older Romulan ships and the newer ones, because the older ones have a much lighter green to them, while you can see with the new Riens have a much darker green to them.
Now we've seen some changes with those fed warp-ins. Well, we talked a little bit about the Teutoburg. What about we got that great video on the Centaur? That was pretty cool.
hmm
How long does it take you to build a ship like that? It looked like it came from pretty much the ground up.
Yeah, so the Centaur, what you were watching on the YouTube video was about 15 times the speed it actually took me to do. So it takes a while to build the model. Although I absolutely love building models, particularly building stuff for fleet ops. The the Centaurs in particular took didn't take as long as some of the more complicated ships, like the Teutoburg took a little longer because I wanted to get a lot of nice detail in the underside with its torpedo bays to make it look really kind of like evil. But the Centaur was particularly interesting because it's that kind of mishmash of ships from the TMP TNG era. So it was certainly interesting to put that together from scratch. I remember one of the questions on the forums was why didn't I start with the Excelsior model and build up the Centaur?
Yeah.
And that was kind of a choice because I wanted to do the time lapse, so I wanted to show building something from how I built something from scratch and how I use the orthographic images together. And the texturing process for me is probably the most time-consuming thing because when I build my textures, I actually build them about 4 to 8 times the amount of detail that actually you see in Fleet Ops. So I try to get as much detail as I can, and then when it's ported over to Fleet Ops, we shrink it down.
Oh, that way, if we get better graphics later on, we'll be able to keep them up.
Yeah, so there are definitely plans to put together a kind of upgraded graphics pack for those people who have the computers to handle it, so we can see much more of that detail that I put in there.
Awesome. Well, let's give a quick game update. Feds are sporting Starfleet Command, about 20 seconds away from that. A couple of Intrepids, and it looks like they've got a Canaveral set up, so should be pretty interesting to see how that does. They're up against some scout cubes and probes. Nuke's got a nice little flotilla of ships set up there. Looks like he's got a peripheral cube coming up there. That's a new model too. And looking at the bottom, funny stuff's still putting out a bunch of those Burrell and some Kadoosh mixed in with some Charg. So nice mix of units we don't see every day. Should be good to see how they handle these Riens, which are stacking up quite nicely. Looks like we're going for some Disruptor torpedo Riens. Got an upgrade facility on them. And Warpin.
And
defensive. Look at that. So did you get to work on the peripheral cube?
So I actually didn't. Optech usually works on the Borg stuff because the Borg models are built kind of like piece by piece, where basically literally there are different modules that are being used to put the Borg together. So
cool.
Optech designed these new kind of rod-shaped things to put on the Scout Cube. So I really like this new model, and we're slowly trying to phase in custom models for different ways you can put modules on the Borg ships, so that way it's a little easier to tell what kind of Borg ships you're going up against.
Yeah, that's definitely a challenge. Right now, it's hard for people to tell what exactly the cube makeup is unless you are actually selecting it, checking out the modules. Even then, it's kind of tough. Yeah, both sides being pretty defensive at the moment. I'm really surprised. It's a very small map. Stardust set this up to really promote a lot of early aggression, and just not seeing it yet. But that's okay. They're building up fleets.
There's a small amount of scouting going on, and we can see funnies expanding. So we'll maybe see some Romulan cloaked ships moving out. So maybe they'll do some raiding.
Yeah, everybody's just kind of feeling each other out. I'm really interested to see how these Charg do versus the Riens. At first glance, they don't look like they're going to do very well. Fast tracking computers and slow firing.
Yeah, but has the Charg special weapon been researched?
Looks like he hasn't got it yet, look like it. But I bet he will pretty soon. He's going up to meet the Feds, and the Charg will do quite well against the Fed fleet. So looks like both we got cloaked fleets passing in the night over here.
Yeah.
Everybody's just trying to figure out what to do. And
there's the decloak.
Not good for these Klingons. They are going to be in a lot of trouble. trying to get out. Morel is biting the dust.
We saw some Katingas get popped.
Yeah, and Cloak Detect Scout set up. Let's see if the Klingons can survive long enough for the Borg to get in here.